So you yourself, you can go to China if you just want to source product wholesale, right? Items they already have available, and you can do all your purchases and they'll send it through freight or however else you'd like it shipped to you. And you'll get it directly and you'll be able to select all your products that you wanted in person.
I'm Sean Hessinger, and this is Small Biz in 15, the show where we bring you small business news and tips to make your small business better. Today, Jeanel Alvarado, founder of Retail Boss, talks about how small business owners just like you can source products from China. So Jeanel, just to get started, could you let us know a little bit about your experience with the whole topic of sourcing from China?
Yeah, you know what? Sourcing from China has always been one of the top choices for any entrepreneur looking to get into owning their own store, whether it is physical or online. China has always been at the epicenter of having the top wholesale availability. So that could be for any sort of product. So clothing, all the way to, children's toys. My experience actually started when I was in university. I had an idea to start an e-commerce company. And upon graduation, I had already booked my trip to China. And that was actually after I had attended some trade shows. So my experience sourcing in China is something that I've personally done. And I have had products manufactured there. So I'm happy to provide some expertise on how others can do it as well.
Why is sourcing from China so important, such an important consideration for small businesses, including online sellers?
I would say sourcing from China provides the best options for entrepreneurs, small to medium sized to large. So depending what that person is trying to produce, China can produce it. I know there's been talk that if you want to produce in China, you have to have huge minimum order quantity. So you have to reach maybe 500 units, 1,000 units, but that's not necessarily true anymore. A lot of manufacturers in China are small and they're looking to work with small businesses and will start with small productions, even 50 units, and scale up from there. If we think about other markets, another competitive one is Turkey. That one can also produce smaller units as well. So that's advantageous for a small retailer. However, the issue there is with the time. Getting products from Turkey isn't as easy as it is from China. So even just the distribution and the supplier channels are just easier for a small business to work with when it comes to dealing with different things like trade and customs. It's a lot easier for someone to navigate through China than with other manufacturing areas.
Okay. And I guess there's a cost differential definitely between that and having something manufactured, domestically or even in maybe someplace like Mexico or Canada.
Yeah, most definitely. So there are often higher costs. That's because in North America, we have labor standards, of course. So if you're having something manufactured in US or Canada, oftentimes it would be a lot more expensive, because you have to factor in the cost of labor. And that's usually where the bulk of the cost will come in. However, a lot of entrepreneurs, if they're interested in working more locally, what they'll do is work with a US manufacturer, Canadian manufacturer, who can create samples. So these are people who would create the samples and of whatever you're looking to create.
When you search online, you find this idea of a China source agent. And I'm not sure I'm not sure that's the phrase, but that's the source term anyway. Can you explain to me what that is and how you find one?
Yeah, most definitely. So a sourcing agent, which you said is correct. You can find a sourcing agent in any country that you're looking for. Particularly, this one will be for China. A sourcing agent is, in essence, just somebody who's going to be a liaison between you and the manufacturer that you're looking to work for. So someone who would be looking for a sourcing agent is someone who currently doesn't have any manufacturer who can create a product for them. So they may contact, you can do just a simple Google search, or you can also find a lot of sourcing agents at trade shows. So there is a popular trade show called Magic, and they even have their fashion portion, but also the day before the event, they have a sourcing event, and you can find different agents from all over the world for whatever country you're interested in. So the whole goal of that agent is to do all the work for you. So if you know what your budget is, what you want to create, how many units, where you want to source that product from, they'll do the due diligence to already vet the manufacturers that they may already know. So you can kind of fast track to make sure they have done all the work for you. They already have manufacturers that they know. So you're really paying that sourcing agent to provide you with some options that would best fit whatever you're looking to manufacture out in China.
And I guess it's helpful to have somebody on the ground like that, somebody in the culture, because you're not familiar with it, to who probably knows the players already. And when they hear what you need, probably maybe already knows where to go. Whereas you have to start from scratch.
Absolutely. And when you do, even if you attend a trade show where manufacturers will come and you'll be able to approach them and talk to them about, hey, would you be able to maybe manufacture this product or that product? You'll find a lot of the manufacturers will just say yes to whatever you're saying, because you just want the business. So again, like you said, it's better to go with a sourcing agent who actually knows who for sure will actually get the job done, because trade shows, a lot of the times, manufacturers are just trying to get as many contacts as possible. And then when you try to contact them later, they may filter you out, right? They might realize, oh, you're not the ideal client that they want to work for. And sometimes it is just better to go with a sourcing agent. But also, if you go to a trade show, you can find the perfect manufacturer. It really depends on if your manufacturer makes exactly what you were looking for. If whatever you're making is a little bit more custom, it would be better to do the sourcing route.
How do you find a supplier of wholesale products in China?
Yeah, so there's a few popular options. The number one is Alibaba. Second would be DHgate, Global Sources. There's also Made in China, China Supplier, OF Week, AliExpress. Also, you can, even though that's direct to consumer, a lot of the people who sell on there also do wholesale. So if there's a certain product that you like, if you reach out, they might be able to also do wholesale for you of the products that they're selling direct to consumers. Those would be the top options that are available. So yeah, just a quick Google search, you'll be able to find. But again, most of those manufacturers do not have their own websites. So that really is the problem. You're only going to be able to see products that they've already manufactured and products that they're selling. Now, if you're trying to get more information on the company itself, it's going to be really hard. You're not going to really be able to find much information. So the best route will always have to be to go to China to actually see their manufacturing ports in person.
How do you assess the quality of products you receive from a Chinese manufacturer or supplier?
Yeah, the number one thing is to request samples. You can always request samples of pre-existing products. Also, when you go to the trade shows, each manufacturer has a booth and they have a variety of products they've already manufactured there. So let's say you go to one of the trade shows, the first booth has a bunch of denim jeans. So there you go. You can already touch and feel and see for yourself. They'll also usually have a client list. So they might even work with big brands like Michael Kors and Hugo Boss, and that'll give you a better idea that their qualities probably has to be top notch. You might go to the next one and they have t-shirts, right? There you'll be able to see what type of fabrics that they go for. Are they 100% organic? What kind of blends are they doing? So you'll be able to see clearly in person. If you're creating something from scratch, anyone who's getting a sample made overseas, just be aware that you will be having to go back and forth with samples. It doesn't really matter what manufacturer, if you want something custom in a certain way. So again, you might get something and then you realize, oh, the design you came up with doesn't fit well with the kind of fabric that you selected. So now you have to send it back to the manufacturer, and they're going to have to try something different and send it back. Then once you switch the fabric, you realize, oh, now that the fabric's great, but now the dimensions aren't fitting it as well anymore because the fabric's changed. So now you have to switch something else again. So sometimes it has to do with just the construction of the garment. So again, sometimes it's not always the manufacturer. Sometimes the tech pack or the sample idea isn't the best. So it could also be, the person's fault for what they came up with. It's just not as feasible. And they might think it's the manufacturer, but you have to kind of build that relationship back and forth. But again, the best way for the quality is to attend a trade show and see it up front. If you're ordering online, to request a sample, which should be free, that they'll deliver to you and you can assess.
How do you find manufacturers in China in the first place?
Yes. So one of the biggest capitals over there, provinces, is Guangzhou. So that one is very, very popular. That's known as the wholesale, capital, region, province that they have over there in China. So that would be your best bet to go. They have wholesale malls. They have wholesale cities. So, and it's almost like the same thing that you would see at a trade show where there's a manufacturer with booths. You would see that there all day, every day. So they already have all of those all set up. And as well as for the wholesalers in the wholesale malls, they have all their products that you can buy. So you yourself, you can go to China if you just want to source product wholesale, right? Items they already have available, and you can do all your purchases and they'll send it through freight or however else you'd like it shipped to you, and you'll get it directly and you'll be able to select all your products that you wanted in person. When it comes to finding a manufacturer, it might be a little bit tricky. You might still have to find a sourcing agent when you get there. But again, that's very easy if you're in the wholesale capital. Even the hotel staff can help you with all of this as well, and call someone to meet you. You'll be surprised. So all of these are ways. So again, Guangzhou is one of the number one places. If you wanted to just go out there and see what's available, that would be your best bet.
How do you build relationships with manufacturers and suppliers in China?
Yeah. So, to build a relationship, it would be really great if you have someone out there, to represent you. Again, it doesn't have to be a sourcing agent. It could just be someone that you hire to just go out there periodically during the buying calendar times to go and buy instead of just always being through email. Because again, you might not get the best product that you want because you're not there in person to see the availability. A lot of the time, they're very slow at sending you what we call their line sheets. So a line sheet is kind of like an Excel online version of all the products. So there'll be photos of the products and then the pricing of that product and then your minimum order that you would have to be. Sometimes they're slow on that. So you might not see the line sheet in time, or the line sheet might not have all the products on there. Then if you were to go in person to their showroom every season. So again, to build a good relationship is just to realize you won't just go one time. This is something that you would go periodically, at least 4 times a year. Also, keep in mind that most people in China use WeChat. So you will have to have a WeChat to communicate with them. That's definitely their number one form of communication.
Well, that's it for another episode of Small Biz in 15. Thanks again to Jeanel Alvarado, founder of Retail Boss, for making this program possible. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show, and please leave a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future programs. For more small business news and tips, join us at smallbiztrends.com.